So this is the OCI Azure Interconnect that they came out with in early June 2019. So you're gonna for prerequisites, you're gonna want to have an Azure account, which we're in the home console of the Azure console account, and then here's the home console of our Oracle Cloud account as well. So the first thing we want to do is click on Virtual Network Gateways, click on Create. We're going to click our active subscription, call it Instance Details Demo. Make sure we click on ExpressRoute, standard for our stock keeping unit, and we'll create the virtual network from here, call it also Demo. Resource group Demo, which we've already created before this. And we are going to do 172.16.0.0/16. And for the subnet, we are just going to call it default and give it a subset of that address range that we specified in the address space, so our subnet mask will be smaller, and we'll do -24. Hit OK. And at this point, then we'll get the gateway subnet address range. So we'll take this auto-generated one here, and then for our public IP address, we'll do create new public IP address name, OCI_Azure. And do a review and create. And wait for the wizard to finish validating. Validation passed, hit create. It's initializing that deployment, which will take up to 45 minutes to create this virtual network gateway. And while that's going on, we can go ahead and create our virtual machine. So we can go ahead and test that connectivity. As I said before, this could take up to 45 minutes. And we see the resource created here, and the status is okay. So do you create a resource, virtual machine create, and we will do use this Ubuntu image as our OS, active subscription, resource group demo, virtual machine name demo, region US East, the same region we created our virtual network gateway in. We'll choose availability zone, or no infrastructure redundancy required, no DR needed for just a demo. Security type standard, VM architecture x64. Size standard, SSH public key, username Azure user, we're actually so Azure user is our username. Screenshot that for your records. Generate a new key pair. Demo underscore key works. Port 22 for SSH access, review and create. Download that private key and create the resource. Initializing deployment. And now let's go to our Oracle Cloud account. And we've created, just to recap, we created our VNet in Azure and our virtual network gateway. And now we will take some steps in Oracle Cloud. So we are going to want to go to Virtual Cloud Networks. Hit create VCN, and we can do the standard, etc., etc. I've already done that. You can see it here. And we can click on that, and then we can view our subnet, and you can see our subnet is the same disparity of difference of our address space between our subnet and our VCN and our subnet in Azure and its respective VNet, with the -24 subnet mask for the subnets versus the -16 mask for the overall virtual network and virtual networks. So let's check our dynamic routing gateway. And you see you can only have one attached to your VCN, so we have the max number. We've hit the service limit. And once this is attached to the VCN, your prereqs are completed in OCI. And before we move on, let's create a VM here in our OCI VCN as well for the testing component. So let's go to compute instances. Let's go ahead and just create it because I don't want to dig for the private key. And we'll call it Jammy Jellyfish for the Ubuntu release that we will be using. .22.04 is Jammy Jellyfish. Save this private key, and we're going to want to save our public key as well, and click create. And now that the prereqs are completed, we can finish creating the interconnect between Azure and OCI. Let's check our virtual network gateway. our VM is successfully deployed. Deployment and process for our virtual network gateway. Let's go ahead and set up our Azure ExpressRoute. Click Create. Select Oracle Cloud FastConnect as the partner. Select our Azure region. Which is in Washington, D.C. Bandwidth, we'll do 50 megabits per second for testing. And we don't need any tags, so we can go ahead and create it. Click Create. And while this is going, let's go ahead and provision our FastConnect. Create our FastConnect, partner, Azure ExpressRoute, next, 1 GPS for our provisioned bandwidth, and get our service key. Which is here. Copy it to clipboard, convenient. Put it here. And the connection between Azure VNet and OCI VZN uses border gateway protocol dynamic routing, which is the most common on the internet. And we're going to provide our BGP IP addresses that will be used for 2 redundant BGP sessions between Oracle and Azure. Both primary and secondary. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's just come up with some 1.0.2/30. And just do create. And we should see that it should say provisioned here when we refresh the page. And we see it's enabled. And we are and we see it's provisioned. We just had to refresh the page. And next we're going to want to link our VNet to our Azure ExpressRoute. I don't know if the VNet's still provisioned. Like I said, it takes 45 minutes. And the deployment is still in process. So add a connection. I guess we can still do this even though it's still being deployed. And let's call it OCI. Connection type, ExpressRoute. Okay, so we do have to wait for our VNet to be deployed. And as we can see, that is still going on. So I will be back. I'll take a pause and I will come back once this is deployed and finish out this video. And we're back, and you see that the deployment of the virtual network gateway is not complete. So let's go ahead and connect that, our virtual network gateway, to let's go ahead and link our VNet to our ExpressRoute. So go to home, go to our virtual network gateway, go to connections, add connection, OCI, connection type, ExpressRoute. It's creating the connection. So this is linking our VNet to our ExpressRoute. So now we will associate our network security groups and route table to our Azure VNet. So we can go home, create a resource, and let's go to network security group. review and create. Create. Now, okay, it's finally deployed. Now we can associate our network security group to the subnet and your VNet hosting your virtual machine. Select, we're going to go to subnets, just click on associate, demo, default, click OK. And then we will create our security group roles. So we're going to go to inbound security rules, click on add to, we're going to add two rules, one for our SSH connection to our Azure VM and another rule for connection between OCI, the VCN subnet, to our Azure VNet subnet. So we will create the SSH rule first. Source any. Source any. Source port range is 22. Destination. Protocol, we'll do TCP. Osiris SSH. Let's do asterisk. Protocol TCP, action allow, priority 100. We're 110. So it's a lower priority than our OCI Azure connection. sh-rule. So we created our SSH rule. The only reason this warning triangle is here is because we can view it. It's alerting us that it's exposed to internet. It's only recommended for testing. Great, that's what we're doing. So that's why it's there. And let's add the second inbound security rule for the overall VCN connection. Let's add our source, which is the OCI subnet that we're trying to connect to. Destination, our Azure subnet. Okay, now we've added our inbound security rules. Now let's create a route table. Go to home. Route table. Create a resource, go to networking. We're gonna enable propagate gateway rules. so we can connect on-premise routes to it as well. Review and create. Now we're going to want to associate our route table with the VNet subnet hosting our virtual machine, and we're going to add a route. So let's go ahead and do that. Next up is our virtual cloud network gateway. Now we've created an ExpressRoute, linked it with our VNet gateway, and configured a network security group and route table to allow the traffic and connectivity with our OCI VCN. So I'm going to go home. That's what we like to see. Log back in. And we're going to configure our OCI VCN security list and route table. So go to security list. Actually, add an ingress rule. Our source CIDR is our Azure VNet 16.0.0. Our Azure subnet. This opens up all protocol traffic between the two virtual networks. All protocols. And then let's go to our route table. And we're going to add a route rule. DRG is our target. Destination, and it's going to be our Azure VNet. So with the -16 subnet mask. This adds a route table entry for routing the traffic towards our Azure VNet. And now we can go into testing our connection finally. So we have virtual machines in each virtual network, and let's SSH into both of them and test our connectivity by doing a basic ping test. And we will test it both ways. So we will test the Azure to OCI direction first. So we're going to want to disconnect from our VPN. Because that changes our IP address. And now we're going to want to SSH into our OCI VM. So we are going to want to do a chmod 400 and our private key file. And then next we're going to want to do SSH-I, our private key file again, and then Ubuntu, because it's the username for Ubuntu OS is Ubuntu and OCI, and then our public IP address. So we will grab that here. So we need to add the host key. And we are now connected SSH into our Ubuntu Compute VM and Oracle Cloud. And let's go ahead and do a ping command to our ping command to test the connection between our from Azure to OCI. So to want to ping 172.16.04, the address, the IP address of our Azure VM. And we see the latency here. And you see the latency is about 2 milliseconds between our Azure data center in Washington, DC, and our Oracle Cloud data center in Ashburn, on average. Maybe like 2 milliseconds and change. So now that we've tested Azure to OCI, now let's test OCI to Azure connection. So we'll need to SSH into our Azure VM this time. Instead of SSHing into our Oracle Cloud Ubuntu VM, we will SSH into our Ubuntu Azure VM. So we're going to want to do a chmod 400 command again. To our private key. And then we are gonna want to SSH into it, ssh.-i. Copy your private key. Type in the user. Azure user is our username. Set that. And then our public address, so we're at Azure VM. So let's grab that. SSH Azure user at our public IP address. Do a move private key tilde /.ssh chmod 400 tilde. Chmod 400 tilde. I'm going to do a SSH-I tilde. We're going to use the Azure Cloud Shell, the bash version, to connect to our Azure VM and SSH Azure user. Yes. Okay, let's reset those credentials. whatever background software is security software is just blocking it. So gotta just use the Cloud Shell. Okay, so SSH username, public IP address of our VM, password, and we're finally connected. And let's ping our OCI VM private IP. So 10.0.0.25. There we go. And we see the latency is 2 milliseconds and change from OCI to Azure, just as it was from Azure to OCI.